We're live, I think. Yes, we're live. Perfect. Well, hello everybody and welcome to this year's last Changeling live stream. I am very happy to have you all watching and of course our very esteemed guests, whom I've promised that this is going to be extra chill today, so we're just keeping it casual. For everybody who wants to ask questions, you can just put them in the chat window and we will get to them at the end of the show. So first things first, let's introduce our guests, or let's let our guests introduce themselves. So Melissa, why don't you start?
Oh, okay. So I always start and then everybody else goes and they do it way better than me. So I'm just gonna butt tradition all together and say, I'm Melissa Gay. I am an artist.
All the relevant info there.
That is the best 2020 introduction ever. Oh yeah, we are at the end of 2020.
This is where our brains are at.
Oh, that was great. I guess I'll go next.
Go ahead.
My name is Amanda Makepeace. Yes, that is my last name. I am a science fiction, fantasy, and nature artist and illustrator. And you can find me at amandamakepeace.com.
Yeah, see?
You're doing great.
Okay, I guess it's my turn, and I'm also Amanda, but Amanda Sartor, and I'm an illustrator and interactive narrative designer, whatever that is, and
It's awesome.
it sounds cool, whatever.
It is cool.
And I do fantasy, mostly, and mythology. And that's it.
Beautiful atmospheric stuff. So, anyways, everybody's websites are linked under the video, so you can check these amazing people out later once we finish talking, because now you need to just watch us.
You need to watch them.
Yes, this is important. Everybody needs to know how your day has been so far. How is everybody doing?
Surprisingly great. I always get super nervous before these live streams, so super great, super chill. I'm here with Amanda Makepeace, who is my best friend in the world, besides my spouse, and I haven't seen her since January. I think.
Yeah.
It's terrible, and it's nice to see her. It's so nice to finally sort of virtually meet Amanda Sartor, because I'm a huge, huge fan of your work. So beautiful, and I can't stand it, and I want to buy all of it, but hopefully you'll just come out with a book that I can buy or something.
Oh yes.
Someday.
When I was in art school, you were in my inspiration folder, so I was really looking up to you, to your work.
I don't know what to say to that.
I'm sorry.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think everything Melissa said. Plus, yeah, it's been a pretty good day. I also manage the Changeling Twitter account. So I've been up for a little while, drinking my coffee, retweeting things. Checking all my social media. I manage way too much stuff.
You are on top of it. It is so amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, between Changeling and Bird Whisperer and yeah, I'm the one that launches our auctions each month, so I've been keeping an eye on that. And this month's auction is going to be so good. There's so much good art in that folder right now.
You can't see it.
No, you can't see it. You can't see it. Monday at noon. But yeah, there's a lot of good art in there, and it's inspiring to see so many people participating. And but yeah, it's been a good day, and the sun is out, so that's nice.
Other Amanda, what have you done today?
Well, it's still pretty early, so
Getting up is already pretty good.
I put on a nice sweater and some necklaces, so I'd look fancy. And yeah, yeah, see that?
Oh, it's pretty. Oh, wow. Is that a shiny thing?
Yeah, it's a little opal and a star.
Oh, opals are so nice.
The artist is Iron Oxide. I always buy stuff by her. Beautiful stuff. And it's nice. It's sunny here too, which is unusual. It's been sunny for like a week, which is really weird in Seattle. If anybody's in Seattle, yay! But yeah, and it's okay. It's a good day.
You showed us your cat, so for me, you've done everything you have to do today. So
He's waiting here to make another appearance unexpectedly, so we might see him again.
that's all I'll be hoping for during the whole panel. I'll just be looking at your background and I'll be like, cat, appear.
He's pretending to ignore me right now, so.
Since yesterday, I have some animal living in my wall and I have no idea what it is, and I'm kind of like, animal in my home, and maybe I don't want it here, but it could be cute, or it could eat your paper and break into your room.
Yeah.
Torn. Anyways, let's start with the serious questions we were meant to answer today. First of which is artist blocks, especially before deadlines. Did any of you experience such a thing? And if yes, how did you handle it?
I can go first, I guess.
Go ahead.
I think that's a really hard situation, especially with client work, because if it's personal work, you can change lanes, change deadline, whatever. But with client work, you kind of are beholden to somebody else. And this may seem obvious to other people, or maybe other people don't want to do this either. I feel nervous about it, but I will talk to the client if I'm having a lot of trouble, as long as I trust them. If there's somebody that I've worked with before and I'm comfortable seeking advice from, sometimes there's something in the brief that I'm having trouble with that just doesn't work, and I need to change it. I find that, the times that I have really communicated openly with a client and they were a good client, those were the best jobs. Even when I did have artist block or struggled with something, working that out with somebody else can be really helpful. And even if you don't consult the client, working it out with somebody else, as long as you can show the work to somebody, seeking feedback from a friend or another artist whose work you like, that's really helpful and can get you out of a slump. Recently I was having a lot of trouble with a piece. It wasn't a client piece, but it did have a deadline. And I put it up on the Changeling forums and got a lot of feedback, and now it's one of my favorite pieces. So, that worked out really great. So
I think that, it depends on what the cause of the artist block is.
Yeah.
And there's different situations. I can count on one hand, and there are times I've had what I might consider artist block. And usually it's because just something isn't working.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, talking it out with somebody else, reevaluating it. What's going on? Yeah, talking about going back to your original, drawing. I find usually it's that there's something wrong structurally, or I always make a point of, especially with client work, I have to be passionate about the piece. And if I'm not passionate, that's where you start running into trouble. So, and sometimes you have to create that passion. You have to find it and insert it into the work. If it's something that you're, not that into drawing, find something to put in there that is you, that you are passionate about. I find that works really well.
Building on what you just said, I totally agree 100%. But also, I kind of have the opposite end of the spectrum problem. I find that my worst cases of artist block come when I am too invested in a project, too passionate about like one direction, and I just can't sort of let go of it enough to do the work. You know how it's like, oh my gosh, if I put down this line, it's gonna ruin my idea or some stupidness.
I can understand that, being so invested in something that you're actually maybe a little afraid that you're going to screw it up, and then this thing that you are so passionate about that you love so much is ruined.
Right.
And yeah, that's a scary feeling. I mean, that is a scary feeling. And
definitely. And
artists, that's one of those things that we have to learn to push through.
Yes. Yes.
And it's not always easy, but we have to learn to push through that.
Oftentimes I find ways to trick myself around that. If I can shut off my brain with Netflix while I'm painting, or procrastinate with other artwork, sometimes that sort of shakes me out of it, and then I can get back into my groove. I think those are my biggest strategies, honestly. That and just leaving it and taking a walk for a while. Or I think the most destructive thing I do probably is stay up all night. Which I actually did that last night because apparently I hate living.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can't say anything about that because there are some nights that I do similar things.
I mean,
but I tend to not get any work done. If I'm staying up, it's to occupy my brain in some other way.
Yeah, I can understand.
And we need that though too. That's the thing.
I made this. I have a hobby now. I went to Iceland and met this bead artist, and she makes Viking beads according to like archaeological evidence of the Viking techniques. She built a Viking kiln and like does the glass. But that's this thing in the middle. The others of this are crinoid stem segments.
Oh,
which is like my favorite thing in the world to do is find crinoid stems, and sometimes they have a hole all the way through the middle, and the system 16 gauge silver wire. Anyway, this is what I did part of last night. So anyway, okay, I'm gonna let someone else talk for a while.
I'm happy to listen to you talk all the time, so I'm just enjoying watching you go back and forth and getting excited. It's like, Happy people!
Yay!
I think there was lots of really good stuff in there that you've talked about, and also stuff that is sometimes what you don't think you should do, because if you're blocked, you think, oh, I have to work through this problem now, but just taking a break, having a hobby, going for a walk can really help.
Well, and even just figuring out, okay, why am I having the block? Because there are different reasons. And, sometimes it is a simple thing that, oh, wait a minute, this drawing I'm working on isn't working because I need to go back and look at my reference. Or, you might be really stressed by something in your life. And those things can interfere with our creative process. If you're overwhelmed by something else outside of your art, that has an effect on us. What? What was that?
I said COVID.
Yes. I mean, yeah, it's, a lot of us, all of a sudden, everybody is at home. That changes the whole dynamic. If you're an artist and you're working from home, and then all of a sudden your children are at home, or your spouse, or whoever it is. So yeah, there's lots of different there's a lot of different challenges, and I think you have to, when it comes to artist block, you have to identify what is actually causing the block, and then go from there. Yeah.
I think that's wise.
Yeah, I sometimes journal down all the things that I'm anxious about at a time that are kind of distracting me and making me clam up, and then I try to figure out what's the quickest way to change one thing about this. What can I do and what I can't do, and then try to solve as much as I can, and then get back with a little decluttered mind. Yeah.
That's a really great point, because sometimes making a small change can really help you turn the corner, as opposed to looking at sort of the big picture and the big changes that we can't make immediately. But sometimes just the little things. I love the idea of journaling down everything that's maybe like a brainstorming session with yourself.
Yeah. I've done the same thing. I've made a list of, okay, what is bothering me?
Okay.
And I write those things down. And sometimes even just the act of writing them down, these things are bothering me. And maybe I can change something, maybe I can't, but it's acknowledging that those things are bothering me. And then, accepting that and trying to see where I can change something and just move past it.
I've never tried that. I'll have to try it.
Do it! Even if it's silly, it's just one thing you don't have to think about all the time, even in the background of your brain. I also think what you said in the beginning was really important, that you can actually communicate with a client, and that it's a collaboration. So, because I think for a lot of people that's really scary, because you don't want to seem like a bad artist or weak, or if your client is disappointed in hiring you. But communication is more often than not the key, and so I think that's a really important point.
Absolutely. And any of us can fall down from time to time. We're not perfect. I've been in this business for over 20 years professionally now, but a couple of years ago, I was doing this really large project for a role-playing game company. And at one point during the project, I did all the big things, and then there were these little interior illustrations, and I just was practically beating my head against a wall. They weren't coming. And I do not blow deadlines, and I blew this deadline so hard. And then finally, just one of the head writer reached out to me and said, "Hey, are we kind of need this." And I said, I'm having a real problem with X, Y, and Z. And we talked it out, and just that simple conversation. I turned those pieces around in probably the next week. It was just opening, clearing that block. And if I had just sort of had the bravery to do that, to begin with, but everything was okay. We didn't miss like the
Well, and
publisher deadline,
and strangely enough, this applies to all aspects of our lives. If we if something is bothering us, if we just talk to that other person,
It's hard.
It is hard. It is. It is hard to broach a subject, like whatever it happens to be. But like 9 times out of 10, if you just talk to that person, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and clients are people.
Yeah.
Artists are people. We're all humans, and if we talk and relate to each other like human beings, generally speaking, things work out okay.
Yeah. And I mean, they're hiring artists, so they're not expecting you to be a machine.
Hey, if you're an artist with good communication skills, you're already ahead of the game.
Well, and that's a whole other topic. I mean, the things that they could be teaching art students. But they don't. Let's paint this flying egg, or yeah. That's a
We had to do like hundreds of single brush strokes in acrylics and then choose the best 5 ones based on textures and so on. So
see, that's why I switched my degree away from art. Because, I just wanted to make art, and I wanted to make the art that I wanted to make. Yeah.
Sometimes that is for the best.
What was the point of that project? Was it just arguing over brushstrokes, or
it was about schooling your eye for what is interesting and what not isn't, and brush control and so on. So I understand why we did it, but most of my class didn't. So that was bad communication on the teacher's side, because he was like, yes, just do this. And then he told us, that's a good brush stroke, that isn't. That's a good brush stroke, that isn't. And everybody was like, why?
Right.
With what was it? Composition. We learned composition. My instructor said, okay, here's a slide of a painting. Here's a slide of another painting.
Yeah.
Does magically absorb composition in all its glory.
My short time as an art major, I had a professor, my drawing professor, who, we would all arrive at class and we would sit around, whatever was in the center, a still life or a model or whatever, and then he would leave. And we just sat there and we worked on our drawing for an hour. I mean, and some days he might pop back in. Other days he didn't. I mean, so it was just like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
I'm offended at that on your behalf.
Now, he did amazing things with graphite. And I was in awe of his work. But yeah, it was an interesting class. It was interesting. He just basically wanted us, and maybe there's not anything necessarily wrong with that. He didn't want to influence us. He just wanted us to draw. If you think about it in that sense, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
And his door was always open,
Mm-hmm.
For us to come and talk to him. But still, it is odd. I mean, he's sitting around, he comes in, he makes sure everybody's there, and then he just leaves.
basically just a life drawing session or still life?
least drawn something himself and used that time.
Yeah.
Well,
In a demo or something.
yeah,
Exactly.
art school.
I
Interesting.
know.
So I think it is time to look at your beautiful art, if you have any ready. Because as we said before, people can't see what's in the auction yet, but they can have a sneak peek now.
I have stuff ready. I can go ahead first.
Yes, show us, show us.
So, the first thing, and I don't know how well it's going to show up on camera, I have one of my little, it's a print. This is not the original, but it's embellished with the same gold that the original. The original sold earlier in the year. So I have this pretty little print with the gold paint.
So lovely.
And then I do have an original that I'm putting in the auction. That's my piece Memory.
Love that piece.
Yeah. Your graphite pieces are wonderful.
Thank you. Those are all, so actually, let me see if I can find it. So there's the stone. These are all things I have. The cat mandible is up on the shelf, so that's something I have. And the hair was mine. I don't have that anymore. I chucked it.
Did not keep it.
No, actually, I'm working on a new piece, and that has a whole bunch more of my hair, and I did keep that. It's in a little baggie.
Oh, it looks really cool.
Just in case I need it in the future, I thought, I don't know, I might use it again instead of cutting more of my hair.
Your hair is so curly when you straighten it. It's just like that in the bag.
Yeah, it has a lot of wave in it. Yeah, and the shorter it gets, the more that wave and curl comes out. It's kind of crazy. My hair is a beast. And then I have one last item. I think, Melissa, you have one of these. This is,
That's my favorite one, and I love it so much, and it's in my studio.
yeah, this is a little pendant with my artwork in it. And this is resin, so it's hard, it's waterproof. Just don't leave it in the car for it to get super hot. But these are really pretty. I like this one because it kind of feels like Christmas a little bit
Yeah.
because of the reds, and yeah, I like that a lot. So that's in the auction.
I think all these people working with resin, that's just so cool. You
I
can
want
do
to
that.
do more. I want to do more with resin. I really would like to experiment with some different types of things. But we'll see. I mean, there's so many things I want to do, and I can't do it all.
You know, I can't do anything with resin until I clean my freaking studio.
Yeah, it would
Yeah.
all be just full of dust with
Yeah.
and hair, dust and hair.
And all my level surfaces are covered with things.
I
Yeah,
tried
one of the
something.
things, the trickiest part is keeping it level. Yeah. But anyway, but that's all I have in the auction.
It looks great. I hope it can find a home. It can make somebody very happy for the end of the year.
Yeah.
So who's next? Who's next? Amanda, do you have something?
I have something. I haven't quite. We can still enter stuff, right?
Yeah,
You can.
sure,
You have
sure.
You have until Sunday night, and it can be super late. As long as it's there Monday morning when I get up.
I'll try to go by tonight, but so I just have my Artifice project, which is the card game. I just do with that.
Love that so much.
And then this thing here, I'll try to show the cards. These are the cards.
So cool. It's gold.
Yeah. But I'm probably gonna enter one of the originals. They're super holiday oriented.
They're so small.
They're tiny.
It doesn't have to be holiday related art. I mean, I know the auction banner is all like holiday, but no, it can be anything.
And skulls are very wintry. Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be sort of a Dickensian thing or something. Yeah.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yes. Or maybe that one.
Wow.
Oh, that's pretty.
So nice.
That was the one I was having trouble with for the color version that I put up on Changeling that people gave me feedback on. But this is the original painting of that.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It was for the month of fear, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are the 4 that I'm picking from. I'm not gonna put them all up. It's just
That's so cool though to see them. I didn't realize they were so small.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah. It saves a lot of time and space. Another thing, let's see, this is a little off topic, but well, it's kind of on the topic of artist inspiration. What did I just do with that? No, I can't find it. I last month or during October, I was having a lot of trouble, just because of stress, I think, and like every entry for like, did we just lose?
We just lost Melissa.
No. Let's hope she comes back.
She'll reconnect.
Oh, okay.
Have to believe.
There she is.
Yes.
Hi. Sorry, my Wi-Fi just decided to give up the ghost.
You didn't miss anything. We only missed you.
Yeah. I was mumbling. But I messed up a lot of paintings and I had to do everything twice and it was really frustrating. So I actually went back and started scrubbing out the paintings that were that were a mess. And I got some interesting. It's really hard to see because it's so dark.
It looks really good, even if it's blurry. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's like a face and kind of doing a pareidolia thing and finding. But it's been really fun, just like completely messing up these paintings and just painting whatever I want on top of them. These little paintings. And it felt cathartic in a way, kind of making something interesting out of your life.
And I think it also gives you a boost too, because those things are not a lost cause.
Yeah.
You're using them. You're basically like, bringing them back to life in a new way.
Yeah. Yeah, and that helps a lot.
And it turned out really nice. And having fun is important anyways. Even if we think back about artist blogs. I mean, you have to kind of enjoy what you're doing if you want to do it for a longer period of time. So.
Yes.
Also,
again.
was the shimmering bit? Was that the graphite?
Yeah, they can. It's so I use a wax pencil. So if I build it up a lot, it can get reflective. Also, there's a really bright light here. I don't know. Nope. No, it's just gone. Anyway, it's hard.
It looks really interesting.
I'll scan it in so people can see it better at some point. I swear I like them. But
Oh, hello.
very annoyed with me right now.
Cat. Yeah, so far I'm very satisfied with what I'm seeing. You're just here for my entertainment, okay? Melissa, you have to do your part now.
Yes. Okay, so I had an original painting that sold at one of the earlier auctions of this little dragon. So I made some nice Somerset watercolor paper prints of it, and I have like numbers 6 through 10 still available. And I was commissioned by the buyer of this original to make a companion piece.
Oh.
That's a little blue dragon. And so I have number 3 and then 6 through 10 of these guys.
I remember that one.
Yes!
You were on the
so
panel
much
for that
fun.
one, yeah.
And then I've got prints of this commission piece, which is a galaxy. It's one of my space paintings, and it's a galaxy. Okay, so galaxies have supermassive black holes in the center of them. And a lot of times, black holes will sort of burp, and they burp out gamma rays. And so this is called a gamma ray burst. And it's sort of just my interpretation of coming from this, the center of this galaxy. And I call it Forge of the Gods, because these cosmic processes are where all the elements are made and cool stuff like that.
Looks really great. It's quite reflective. Is that the paper, or is there anything applied to it?
Oh, yes. So this is this company does these really gorgeous graphic sea prints, and they are, I prefer the gloss finish, because my space paintings tend to be very deep, and the shine lets you see through the layers a bit better, see all the colors and stuff. And these prints are rated archival up to 300 years. So. The other, let's see, hold on. I got one of my toned paper animals as a print. Again, it's a photographic sea print. I did for a person, and this one is again on the summer velvet watercolor paper. One of our bird whisperer projects, and it's I called it Moonbird. It's actually and that's it. I have some prints of that. That's it. That's me for this month.
Okay, no, you're all great. I love that bird. It has this ghost-like luminescent quality. It's also, I like birds, but no, I hope they all find good homes and can give people light and hope during the mess that this year is. Yeah. So next important topic: digital and traditional media. Can they work together? Yes. No. This question has come up because I was asked how I color my work, and I do so digitally, and people seem to be confused about that because it looks so traditional, because it mostly is, just the color is digital. But this isn't about me. I just want to be entertained by you people, so I want to hear how you work with digital and or traditional media, and how you can how both kinds of media can enhance each other and lead to new paths and experiments. And we don't want this one is better than the other, because they're both great, and I want to hear why and how they're making your lives easier and so on.
Command. I had a Command Z for oil painting.
Yeah, it's really bad going back and forth between digital and traditional, because you do want to undo when you're traditional.
Yeah, sometimes I find myself holding my my Wacom stylus, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is not an actual pencil. Yeah, I mean, I have it right here next to me. So, I mean, I would, on this side, I have actually another computer that I only use for digital paintings. But I mean, I also use it for when I make scans of my graphite art, and prepping all that gold to at least look half decent. It takes a lot of work. And then I have all my traditional stuff over on this side. So yeah, it's easy. Sometimes I'm just like, I'll pick this up, like I'm going to do something with it. Um, yeah, it's. I guess well, I'm speaking, so I guess I could go first. Um, yeah, so I, as far as like digital and traditional, I'll try to be brief. But I started off as a traditional artist, painting mostly in acrylics. My first book cover was back in 2005 for Wiley and Sons when I was living in London, and it's an acrylic painting of oak tree leaves, and it was for a book on developing Java software. And there's a software kind of lingo thing about acorns in Java that I won't go into because I don't really understand it, but that's why it was oak leaves on the cover. But yeah, I painted in acrylics and watercolors for years. Graphite was my first love, and then I started experimenting with digital, mostly for health reasons. I was having trouble with my hands, and actually painting with a stylus is a lot easier than painting with a brush on canvas. There's a lot less resistance, and so it's easier on your hands. Um, and now I'm at the point where I'm starting to kind of, I don't paint in acrylics anymore, really. It is too hard on my hands. And I think part of that is the way I work because I love realism and detail. And that is, when you work that way, it can be a little bit hard on your hands. But I've gotten to the point where I'm starting to move back into traditional work with my graphite. Um, and I'm looking to bridge those. And I wish I could show it to you. I didn't think about it, and I could have shared my screen possibly. But like Jana was saying, I have a graphite piece that was actually in a Changeling auction. It's an apple. It was when we did the idioms.
The bad apple.
Yeah, bad apple, and I that sold. So I don't even have the drawing to show you because it's gone. But I did actually make a color digital version of that piece where, I just scanned the drawing and then I played around in Photoshop and added red to the apple. And I think, yeah, when you do that, it does look still very traditional if you're keeping all of those lines and the textures from what was on the paper underneath. But that's what I'm looking forward to exploring more in 2021 is doing more of that with some of the new graphite work I'm going to be exploring. Because I love graphite and I love the black and white all on its own, but I do love playing with color. So yeah, I don't know. I love it all. I'm like an artist or something. I'm probably still going to be working with digital painting as well. At least, I mean, let's be honest, I probably won't ever totally give that up. But I do love trying to incorporate traditional elements into my digital work, even. And I think that's just because of where I came from, working in acrylics for so long. I love the painted look. Yeah, I love that. So anyway, there's I don't know what that was even about, but there you go.
I'm excited to see your new pieces. Where you're going with that. So.
Yeah, I'm excited too. This was all planned. I actually started thinking about where I was going to be going with stuff last year. I just didn't expect this year to kind of go the way it did. It was like, yeah, but that's okay. I mean, I'm still moving forward with everything. So yeah, come on, 2021.
It's going to be better. It has to.
It has to.
Other Amanda, would you like to share with us? I know you also do digital color.
Yeah, I've been working in digital and traditional for a really long time. I had an Amiga when I was a kid. That didn't at all.
Yes.
Art.
It was like a really good computer for making art. So, and I liked computer games, so I would make, you know, art that looked kind of like it was from a computer game. But I loved Alan Lee when I was growing up, and I learned how to paint watercolors from kind of copying his work. And so there were those two influences when I was a kid, and yeah, as I got older. I mean, in college there wasn't a lot of mixed media yet. At the time I went to college, so I mostly learned traditional media. Um, and then after I started working more in both, and I started working in the video game industry as a 3D modeler, as an environmental artist and a 3D modeler, and that was almost all digital. But then I decided I wanted to go back to illustration, and I was still working digitally, but then I decided that I wanted to start, working traditionally again because I missed it, and that's when I really started developing the style I have now, which really does go back and forth. Sometimes I find it easier to sketch on the computer, especially when I'm having a lot of trouble, because there's so many tools to help you that are right at your command on a computer. I mean, there are traditional tools that can help you, but they're a little trickier to use. They take up space in your studio.
I do the same thing, even if it's a piece that's going to be traditional, I might work up like a sketch, just in Photoshop really quick, because I can get that done a lot faster, instead of on paper erasing, doing over erasing, I mean, it's, yeah.
Yeah, and there's also the wrist strain factor, like you're talking about. If I can quickly, work out a composition on the computer and kind of figure out some of the important details, that is hours of work in terms of sketching and cutting out a little piece of paper and moving around.
Right.
Traditional tools that the computer replicates. It's so much faster on the computer, and I have to think about deadlines. I have to think about how much I'm doing, because this is a serious issue once you get older. These do take strain. So if you're an artist who works many hours a day,
yes,
you have to learn. But
I know I'm dealing with a shoulder injury right now, and it is it's not fun.
Yeah,
and I didn't injure it doing art, but still, it is affecting art. I mean, yeah, and I'm trying to work through that, but yeah,
that's hard.
Bodies
Yeah,
are.
and
Continue. When in question, you're always the one continuing.
I'm really bad at timing in conversations, so Zoom is really hard for me.
Me as well, so.
I don't know when to talk. Yeah. What was I saying? Oh, and yeah, coloring on a computer is just a revelation, because you can play with colors endlessly, which is a bit of a trap, but it's good. It's good to kind of define your aesthetics. Maybe outside of a digital setting, because you will have so many options when you're in a digital setting that you'll just play endlessly. Yeah, and also like doing things like scanning in your own textures, scanning in swatches of color, things that kind of have that handmade feel, and that you actually defined yourself, and then taking them into the computer and using them can really help sort of refine your aesthetics when you're working digitally, so you don't just end up, all over the place.
Yeah. Early on in my art career with digital tools, I adopted the philosophy of keep it simple, stupid, because I did not have like the training with the tools. I did not have like the latest equipment, the latest software. I had to just develop my aesthetic, honestly, to be simple in terms of what digital tools I used. And so I do keep it to like digital coloring, playing around with the adjustment layers, that kind of thing. But I don't do anything flashy. And right now I need to replace my tablet because it's decided that my brush sensitivity is not a thing I need. So
I have tablet for you.
Oh, you?
I have one. We need to talk. We need to talk.
Oh my god.
I upgraded to a new, whatever, like, I mean, it used to be the Intuos line, but I think they call it their Pro line. And so I updated my Wacom last year, and I still have my Intuos 4 medium. That's pretty big. It works. It's good.
Medium.
It's still a good tablet, but anyway, yeah, we'll talk. But I was going to say, along those lines of what you were saying, Melissa, it actually, no matter, well, okay, let's talk about like specifically traditional artists. I think when you're working in illustration, it really actually does help to know some digital tools.
Absolutely.
Because there will come a time when you're working with a client and they say, could we change the color of that shirt?
Can we move this element from this side to this side?
It's extremely helpful when you are on a deadline or any, sort of time crunch to have those digital tools at hand to be able to just tweak something really quick. That is extremely useful.
Yeah, or even something like brightness contrast. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I need this highlight to really pop for this book cover. It's so easy when you have the digital tools available to you.
Yes, and I think that a lot of clients nowadays actually expect artists to have that capability.
Oh yeah.
So it's definitely, I mean, it is good to learn some digital art skills. Even if they're just in the most basic sense. I would recommend that for any artist.
I'm an example of an artist who uses digital tools in the most basic sense.
Yeah. But I mean, I think a lot of illustrators do that now.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they're working in graphite or oils or acrylics or watercolor or whatever, there comes a time when a client is going to ask you to change something, and if they need it right then, that's kind of hard to go back in with traditional media. And sometimes you can't go back in. Sometimes it's like, no, I can't do this. I can't paint over that. I can't fix that. So you have to be able to do something. Yeah.
True.
I also have clients that ask for layers, which is annoying when you work traditionally because you don't have any. So you have to be able to kind of create layers from your traditional artwork for clients to use.
Wow.
So.
Yeah. What is the smart fill in Photoshop?
Oh my gosh.
When you're working things out into layers that need to like move against each other or something for motion graphics or something. Yeah, smart. The intelligent fill. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's doing things to my brain right now.
I actually did my first completely digital piece this year for a client who asked for layers, and I was just, yeah, I'm not going to try this. I'll just stick to the computer for this one. And because there's so brushes that are so good in mimicking traditional media, it looked very close to what I'm usually doing. So
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it really is amazing to see where, like, how far our digital tools have come.
True.
Yeah.
The one drawback I find to working digitally, for me personally, the way my art style works is that I like to have a lot of randomness in my morph making. You know what I mean? And I have a hard time. You can achieve it with digital tools. You can achieve that look. But for me personally, I find it's like 5 times the work for me to do that digitally as it is traditionally. Whereas I've seen other digital painters who are just like, oh yeah, I'm going to make this look like a painting now.
I use acrylics
Yeah,
for
I think
textures
they're-
as well. I also work
What's
traditionally
that?
for textures and randomness, so I understand.
Mhm.
Oh, yes, I love your work too. I'm a fan of everyone in this conversation.
We're all each other's biggest fans.
That's right.
Just a big fan meetup.
Yep.
Anybody has anything important to contribute to this discussion? Otherwise, I'm going to see that our sound has been off. Okay. You. Does anybody have any questions to the wider audience? Otherwise, I will ask mine, which is, what are you going to do next year? Do you have any plans? Or do you have any plans for the rest of the year? So are you just going to hibernate, or
I wish.
draw into a cocoon?
I'm going to agree. Yeah.
I'll jump in on this one, I guess. I stupidly decided to draw everybody their Christmas presents this year.
Oh
in
my
my
God.
family. Like a more, yes. So I always think that this will save me money somehow. Whereas what it in fact does is take up hours and hours and hours of my time, and thereby costing me more money.
Yes.
So, but I'm in it now, so I gotta hit the finish line. But after that, I'm going to take up more of my Iceland paintings, because that is a project that I'm on right now that I am super excited about.
Those are beautiful.
Yes,
Really
they
Yeah.
are.
Really seen those, yeah.
Thank you. I want to paint every single photograph I took, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. So I'm just picking the highlights and working from there.
Let's see. I have a few things that I'm working on that are, I guess they're going to kind of flow into the new year because it's already December. Yeah, I'm working on a new graphite piece, a new still life for my Patreon, the one with my hair. Yeah, so I'm working on that. And then I have also a totally self-indulgent fan art drawing that I'm not going into. It's for me. I probably will only post it on Instagram, and it might be on our website. If it turns out really good, it'll be on my website. And then I'm also working on my tarot card for the Changeling project. Yes, the Woven Tarot, which is a digital piece. So I need to get moving on that. And then once I get through those, I do have my ongoing Patreon that I'm working on, and all of those drawings, and eventually a book. Um, and then 2021 is going to be about kind of merging my graphite with my fantasy art. Yeah. So, okay, yeah. This is what happens when I don't think ahead about things.
You work it out now.
So I have a Patreon that is all about these still life drawings, which, they do show up periodically in Changeling auctions, but I don't think of them as fantasy art. I think of them as kind of nature, mystical art. They do have a magical element to them, but they're kind of separate, I think, from my fantasy illustration. So in 2021, I'm still going to be doing all of that, but I also want to explore this new graphite work in relation to actual fantasy scenes, like, portraits, and we'll see where that goes. I know that's kind of like really vague. But we'll see. My goal is to actually kind of make a transition with my art. And I've actually done that 4 times over the course of my career. It sounds really scary, but it tends not to be for me. When I commit to something, I commit to it like 200%. And I just give it my all and we go. So, but it is different now. Where I'm at in my career is a little bit different. So I'm trying to cautiously find my footing as I go forward, because most people know me for my digital work. That's what I won the Chesley Award for this year, was a digital painting for a book cover. So yeah, I'm not quite sure how all of that is going to affect the illustration side of things.
You and I are in boats in that regard, because the thing that I won my Chesleys for was oil painting, and I kind of hate oil painting right now.
Right.
I'm kind of stepping away from that.
Yeah. So yeah, it's I don't know. I'm honestly not concerned about whether I'll have more illustration work in 2021. I just actually want to be making this art. And I feel like I have enough of a fan base and a following that I can do this, and it'll work out. And I have a feeling too that, you know what, I think the illustration jobs will come once I start putting out more of this work that I have mulling in the back of my head. It just may look like different clients. So
right, exactly. They find you.
Yes.
You put out a body of work, they like that look, and they find you, and it's and I know it.
Yes, and in fact, I think we had a conversation about, was it, I don't know what publisher it was that you sat down with at a LuxCon last year, and they were talking about, and you emailed me and were like, that's like just like your work. They want this minimalist stuff. And yeah, I mean, I hadn't really thought about that when I decided to change course, but then thinking about it in recent months, I was like, yeah, if I want to do more illustration work in this new vein, it will come.
Yeah.
Because there's always publishers looking for something different.
Something new.
Right. They're always looking for the next cool thing. That's the marketing thing. They have to push those. In one aspect of that is they go with what is currently cool, but the other aspect of that is they have to be visionary, and when they think, it's time for a shift, they're looking for the next thing that's going to be cool to shift onto.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be exciting. 2021 is, I mean, if this year was me kind of like dipping my foot into where I want to go, next year is going to be an adventure.
That's awesome.
I'll be watching.
That sounds really ominous.
It was meant kindly and supportively. Amanda, do you have plans?
I have like 5 different personal projects that I keep on picking up and dropping. So I've been I have a Patreon, and the project shifts from month to month pretty much. So right now what's up there is I'm working on a short interactive narrative called The Three-Crowned Heart. It's actually a project that I started about 2.5 years ago, and then I dropped it because I went back to school to get my MFA. And then, which I'm done with now, I graduated in COVID. It was remote. I mean, it was limited residency degree anyways, but now it was no residency. So. But yeah, I'm done. And I went back to working on this project again, the Three-Crowned Heart. And I'm enjoying working on that. I'm building it in Unity. And it's, I'm doing all the graphics traditionally, scanning them in and doing that thing we talk about where you break out the layer. I don't know why I'm doing it that way. It's like the first way to do it. But I like to waste time. And it's a kind of a branching short story, a fairy tale, kind of creepy. You know, it sounds like all the rest of my work, and the mechanic is sort of a scrolling mechanic. Depending on which way you scroll, it changes the story, and things kind of fade in and out as you scroll. And I'm kind of just working on getting that mechanic working. So, you know, I don't get all the assets and everything written and done and then realize I can't build the game. So I'm just trying to get this one little bit functioning to make sure I have all the tools I need. Which is kind of, it's fun. It turns out I really like doing that stuff. But the problem is when I'm doing that, I'm not painting. So it's kind of boring to watch me, you know, do these incremental updates on, I figured out how to, you know, fix this bug, and I figured out how to make this not crash when you click on it. If you're watching that stuff, it's on my Patreon, but not, don't go there. But that's probably what I'll be working on mostly next year, is just developing my my narrative design skills and trying to figure out how to integrate them into my current art practice, whatever that is. So that's next year.
Sounds super exciting though. And I've seen some snippets of your project on social media and it looks really good. So,
oh, thanks.
and it's really interesting.
I'm actually always excited when you post so that I can like share it on the Changeling Twitter. So I'm like, oh yes, Amanda is finally sharing something more about this.
Sorry. I'm bad about sharing. I get nervous about posting on social media.
We love your work so much. To be nervous about.
So good. Yeah, there will be great things coming from you next year. All of you. I am sure of it. Next year is going to be great. Lots of great new art. And our time is up.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't think... No. Yeah. Thank you very much, all of you, for being part of this. And to those of you watching, thank you very much for being part of this as well, even if people were quiet, because the sound... Yeah, that's my fault. Always the professional.
We love you.
But I had a lot of fun, and I hope all of you did as well. And it's always so great to meet you as ghosts, as internet ghosts. And yeah, I've had a great time doing this stuff this year, and hope we can talk again sometime next year maybe. And I'm super looking forward to what all of you are going to do, and hope you have a great day today. All of you, the whole internet, the whole world, hopefully.